Coolest dude in the universe says, we need more of this sacred activism. Labor church coalitions. The progressive church must partner with labor to counter Christian nationalism. Okay, we're going to talk about On Tyranny. So, On Tyranny, the book by Timothy Snyder, Professor Timothy Snyder, 20 Lessons from the 20th Century About Tyranny. And it is a great book. And I was reading, I believe it's chapter 8. And chapter 8 is about standing out. The author says we got to stand out. If you're going to combat tyranny, you have to, not only do you have to be willing to stand out, you must stand out. And he describes, again, 20th century examples. He describes people like Winston Churchill, like the nation of Great Britain during the Second World War. He describes a Polish lady and the work that she did to assist Jews who were imprisoned, for lack of a, that's just what it was in the Warsaw ghettos, for the work that she did, for the work that others did, that they stood up and they stood out. And not just a matter of I'm standing against such and such, but I'm going to work in such a way that you'll notice me. I'm going to work in such a way that is different than the way others are working. I'm going to work in such a way that I may indeed bring allies. People may see me, and allies may gravitate to me, but enemies may see me either. I must be willing to be a beacon and take the risks that come with being a beacon. Jesus, he talks. He talks a lot about this, the idea of being a beacon. And he does actually talk quite a bit about us standing out, about us standing out in the world as the world is. And so for the church, as I read this chapter, I think, okay, well, the church needs to be willing to stand out. The church needs to be willing to make it known that we are a place of safety, that we are a haven, that we are a place of sanctuary. The church needs to be the light on the hill. We need to be seen as an ally. We need to be seen as a place where people can go for help and for assistance. We need to be seen as a place where people can feel heard, where people can be inspired and empowered and equipped. The church needs to be the light of Jesus Christ in the world. We must be willing to stand up. We must be willing to stand out. We must be willing to take the risks that come from being a beacon. There's a passage where Jesus says, nobody hides their light underneath a bushel. Right? You put a light up on a lampstand, it's so that the whole room is illuminated. Well, that's what happens when someone stands out. They're a light. And everybody around them, their life gets brighter. And the world is able to see that light from a great distance. And when enough people stand up and they too are shining a light, then the world around them is able to see that cluster of light from an even greater distance. And again, friends and allies, we're drawn to it. And so too is the tyrant. So too are those tyrannical forces. But that's okay. I mean, there may be a cost. There may indeed be a cost when you stand up. There may be a cost when you stand out. There may be a cost when your light shines brightly out into the world. Darkness, Jesus says, darkness runs from the light. Now, but I would argue darkness doesn't like running from the light. And yet, that's just the nature of it. We're also told that we are to be holy. We're to be a holy people. Right? Christians, the church, we are called to be a holy people. And holy, the word holy means to stand apart. To be recognized that there's something different about you. You're holy. Doesn't mean pious. Doesn't mean good. I forget who it was earlier said, I like Jesus, but I like Jesus' teachings, but I ain't no saint. You're not asked to be. You're asked to be holy, to be set apart, to be seen as someone that's just different than the others. And again, I would argue the church needs to be seen as an organization that is different from the others. We need to be seen as an organization that matters, that is an organization that feeds, that nourishes, that an organization that is swimming against the current, an organization that is standing up against hatred and fear and greed and malice. An organization that is standing up for the stranger, for the immigrant, for those who are in need, for those that the state would tell us have no rights, for those that the tyrant would say, you mustn't ally with them, you mustn't befriend them, you mustn't provide for them. We must ally ourselves and take care of those who the state and the tyrant would say are inhuman, unworthy of love, unworthy of rights and dignity. It's part of the mission. It's part of the mission of the church. Stand up. Be set apart. Stand up. Be seen as holy. Stand up. Let your light shine brightly. Accept the consequences of it. Accept the risk. Because the reward, one that we may never see, the reward is so great. Amen.